Well, hello everyone. I'm back early from my job, and I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to explain something else that's been going on that has been kind of bugging me, but I think the hard part is over on that. I just got to wait a couple days for some emails. So the first thing that happened was what happened at my job? Well, I really enjoyed summer camp. My job was to teach kids at the nature center. We had the camp was basically set up so we had a bunch of merit badges and we would teach the kids merit badges. And I taught, because this was at a scout camp, I taught merit badges like forestry, mammal study, reptile and amphibian study, and nature. And I had a blast, honestly. The problem with those merit badges, teaching those merit badges, was you kind of had to fill up time. So instead of, going really quickly on the material, you have to slow it down, right? And you can't release the kids early because if you release the kids early, there's going to be a problem, right? So let's say that I release them 30 minutes early and some other merit badge makes them leave 10 minutes early. What would happen is eventually everyone would communicate with each other and find out what merit badges let out the earliest, and they would only take those merit badges. You see the problem with that? Like, if some merit badges let out way earlier than others, like if they were just allowing kids whenever they wanted to leave, like leave whenever they wanted, like after they've done the requirements for the day, we would have a problem where kids wouldn't want to do some of the harder merit badges that takes more engagement, right? And I know that sounds contradictory. Well, you signed up for classes that have engagement. That's true, but really kids want merit badges. They want the merit badges and they kind of like the engagement, but they'd also rather be out of class, right? So yeah, I couldn't just let them out early. So it was hard to find things to keep them busy, essentially. And during my time down there, I spent about 4 weeks, actually a little just past 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks, about a month down there. And um, I gotta say, it was an absolute blast until the end. So I'll just say some other things that I did at summer camp. So a couple times we would have something called truck. So we would have to get up at 5:30 a.m. and sometimes 5:45 or 6 o'clock, a big truck would come and we'd have to unload boxes into like a walk-in fridge and freezer, in the kitchen where all the kids eat. So that was exhausting. And then we also had to clean the bathhouses and it was pretty busy. We'd work from 5:30 to 6 a.m. some days. Some days we'd get up at 7:30 and we'd go all the way until 9. There are breaks and there are meal breaks and there's lodging. And that's why I got paid below minimum wage, right? I got paid 350 a week, which sounds really low for the amount of work I'm putting in, but you got to remember is that I'm paying for lodging, right? I'm paying for electricity and, well, water, and I'm paying for the bills and lodging, really. And I'm paying for 3 square meals a day, right? I get paid for that. That gets I pay for it technically. Like it gets taken out of my paycheck, so it makes sense for why my paycheck was lower compared to a minimum wage worker, who I believe doesn't have lunches, and if they do, like they have to bring their own lunches, and if they do eat lunches at the fast food restaurant itself, they they don't get breakfast and dinner for sure. I almost guarantee it. So yeah, and then so yeah, I mean, and they don't get free lodging, right? So yeah, I got paid okay, in my opinion, when you consider everything. And, at first I was complaining about it a lot, but I started to really enjoy it. Until, well, wait for it. I got into a conflict with one of the staff. Now, his name was Sean. And Sean is from the hood, right? So, he was actually in my former troop. I don't want to say the number, but he was actually in my former troop, and he he went along with 4 friends, and basically my scoutmaster picked them up from the hood. They were like, my scoutmaster wanted some boys, wanted to take care of some boys, you know. My scoutmaster's homophobic, by the way, but I still love him because he did stuff like that, right? Like, he would take care of boys and raise them, and he's just a loving man. He just, you know, you can't say you're gay around him. But rather than that, he does a bunch of wonderful things, my scoutmaster. So that's why I've always hung around my scoutmaster. He was really nice. Well, that's why I've always hanged out. You hung out, whatever. Not the best at grammar. So yeah, pretty much that's what happened. And so he got 4 boys from the hood. So I used to live in a suburb of near Tulsa, and so Tulsa has the hood. Like, there are parts where it's literally the hood, where if you go outside and you start talking a bunch of shit, you could get shot, you could get robbed at any moment or whatever. And the problem was that Sean was from the hood. So naturally, he was very aggressive, very stern, and manipulative. And remember, the reason why he's manipulative is because now that he's out of the hood, right, and he always had to keep his mouth shut or else he'd get shocked, it finally feels liberating to him that now he gets to speak up against things. And also, he's always in a constant fight or flight response, because if he's in a flight, he'll get shot up, right? I guess those 2 statements kind of contradict to each other, but you get the point, right? Now that he's out of the hood, he feels like he has a bunch of power to go and relax and kind of take charge, because he's always been silenced in the hood, and he's had to deal with horrible things in the hood. Like, you know, friends potentially getting shot up. He was held at gunpoint. Imagine a bunch of other things happened to him. So anyways, I'm going to get on with it. So Sean and I had some conflicts, and I'm not the most mentally healthy person. And no, it wasn't a bipolar disorder thing at all, or if it was, it's indirectly caused by it. But basically, I got so pissed off that I went into my cabin, grabbed a bottle of my pills, went outside in the public, and took several of my pills over not several over, 1 extra pill over what I should have. And I started having symptoms of an overdose. So I was sent to the ER, not by an ambulance, but by somebody driving me in. And they had to do a bunch of tests on me, make sure I was fine, you know, make sure I was fine, that I wasn't dying or whatever, because I had symptoms like balance problems, breathing heavy, you know, I wanted to go to sleep, because I was just because Sean and I would get into so many fights, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I didn't think of trying to talk to somebody else. And to be honest, a lot of it's my fault for failing to understand Sean's situation. Right? Sean, I don't think, is a bad guy. He's been suppressed for so long in the hood, and he's experienced so many bad things that he's naturally aggressive. He's naturally going to be really tough and really aggressive and manipulative to a point. So yeah, what were the arguments about? I hear some of you asking. Well, probably, a good example was one time I was sitting down in the camp chair, and no, this is not the reason why I overdosed in particular. And Sean was like, "Here's a piece of trash." And he was standing right next to it. And I said, "You're right next to it. You can pick it up." And so he starts getting really angry at me. I'm sitting over there in the chair at the corner. And he's like, "Bro, you cannot be serious. Just pick up the trash." And it's like, I have to get up from my chair, walk all the way over there, pick up the trash where he's at and throw it in the bin. Where he is literally right there, he could pick it up and throw it in the bin. Just like that. And just be done with it. Instead of ordering other people around all the time. So that was an example of how Sean and I got into an argument. Another time was when so Sean is really good friends with somebody named Clarence, who's also from the hood. But Clarence is a lot more chill. He knows how to control his temper, right? And again, I know I said, yeah, but he's from the hood, so they're most likely going to be aggressive, and they're going to be... And keep in mind, I don't think of this about races or anything. I think many races can be from the hood, and I think anybody that grows up from a bad neighborhood, regardless of race, can become this way, right? It's not based on race, right? It's just based on a bad neighborhood. So I mean, Sean isn't totally clear of what he did, right? He still fucked up with the way he handled shit. So Clarence and I were rooming for a while. We were roommates for a while because we had roommates in our cabins, right? And I hate roommates. I can't stand roommates. So I decided to bring a mini fridge to camp. And I would store like energy drinks and everything like that, so it was all good. Yes, I still drink energy drinks. Not the best for me. I only drink usually one a day, maybe two if I'm really feeling it. But what I'm worried about is alcohol, because I miss alcohol a lot ever since I had it on the cruise. And both sides of my family are alcoholics. Anyway, so yeah, so Clarence and I were roommates. And Clarence and I were roommates, and I brought a mini fridge, and we had a general disagreement that the refrigerator was in the walkway. So in my opinion, it was not in the walkway, and in another person's opinion, it was mildly in the walkway, right? I know that's loud on you guys' end. That's that ambient sound. I'm sorry about that. So, what the fuck? You just randomly pop up in the middle of 11 minutes of me playing? Are you serious? Gosh. Anyways, as I was saying, Clarence had like a mental breakdown that day or whatever. Because I think I spilled a soda, and here's what happened. Clarence said, and Sean said, please move your refrigerator to the closet, where the closet is, because there was a closet space. And to be honest, it did fit under there more. But the thing is, I didn't want to take up the closet space, right? I didn't want to take it up. Because I didn't want them to I wanted them to put their shoes there. Like people put their shoes there or put other things there in the closet, right? And I didn't want somebody to just kind of go near the closet and kind of trip on the refrigerator. So I put it kind of in the middle of the walkway. And that makes sense. Nobody really puts it in the closet area. I know it's better usage, but anyways, so Clarence was having a mental breakdown because I wouldn't put the fridge near the closet. And I asked Clarence a while back, is it fine if I have a mini fridge? Yes, it is. He never told me to put it near the closet, right? So what happened? I tried moving the mini fridge with my foot, and one of the cans spilled, and it exploded. Didn't explode, but it punctured. And there was soda coming out. So I had to grab the soda and run out of the cabin and throw it, right? And so I threw it. I threw it a little ways. I made sure not to hit anybody. I could see that far. because the soda being in the trash comes later, right? I got a big mess to clean up. I got to make sure there's not roaches and shit because that's what Clarence is panicking over. And I'm trying to comfort my roommate as much as possible. So I go get the paper towels. I wipe literally all of it. I use the cleaner. It's like 10 p.m. We've had a long day. It's staff week, which was the first week. It's a long day. Everyone's tired, and I wanted to go to bed. But instead, I decided to stay up to help clean my own mess. And I told other people in my cabin, if you want to help, you can, but this is my mess. That's what I said. I didn't ask Clarence to do anything to clean up the mess. This was my mess, my mistake. So I moved it to the closet. I cleaned it up. Sean just kept bashing me over and over and over again, even though I cleaned up everything and I moved the fucking fridge. Big deal. Should have been the end of it. So, yeah. Eventually, though, like I said, I got in those are examples of the conflicts, and I ended up in the emergency room because I overdosed on my meds, because I was upset at Sean. Um, it it was just part of an impulsive thing. I'm very impulsive. I was not manic or depressed at the time, or even having a mixed episode. I was just impulsive. So Tuesday morning of this week, actually last week, I came home because Monday was the overdose and I ended up in the hospital. Tuesday I came home and my dad was very disappointed, and but he had mixed feelings. He felt sympathetic, but he also felt frustrated because I had a similar freak out in college. But the thing he doesn't understand is that I finished college, right? Like, I finished my first semester of college, even though I ended up in the mental hospital. And I finished my second semester of college, even though I was severely depressed. So I'm doing good, right? If anything, bipolar disorder is not what's causing my problems. It's actually just impulsivity that's causing my problems. Bipolar I can deal with, but these intrapersonal conflicts, I can't. So anyways, now I'm home, and I'm kind of bored, but I'm playing with friends. It's good to be back. It's good to see everyone. I'm eating my favorite snack, cheese and crackers. I'm glad that I'm in an air-conditioned house, that I have showers, that I can sleep late and stay up late and sleep even later. Stuff like that, right? So, where are we now? So, today, right, so during my time, I wanted to take another intelligence test. I wanted to see if I had another shot at Mensa. So, at first, I was scheduled for July 8th. I scheduled it while I was down at summer camp because I had 4G, I had data. But since I came home, I decided to schedule it for July 1st. And so I took it today with a school psychologist, but she's also a psychotherapist, state certified psychotherapist. She actually is a national certified school psychologist, right? But I think because it's summer, she may be at the private counseling solutions that I went to, right? So she's a private psychotherapist. Well, I scored 132 on my nonverbal assessment. Proctored exam, the TOEFL 4 or the 98th percentile. So I got into Mensa because on a the test uses a standard deviation of 15. So scoring an 132 puts me in the top 1.5%. So that being said, I got in, right? I got into Mensa. At least I thought I got into Mensa. So basically, I contacted Mensa. I told them, hey, I scored over 130 on this exam. Now, keep in mind, that basically confirms I'm gifted. I've had some practice with similar test items that I've seen before. Like some practice, but it doesn't really matter because I'm just like I had such high nonverbal ability that it really didn't matter. Like I already understood all of it, and I scored really. You got to understand, I'm 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 good at nonverbal assessments, right? So you got to understand that even though I might have seen stuff similar to what was on the Tony 4, I already understood all of it anyways because I just have very high nonverbal fluid reasoning. So yes, I scored 98th percentile. Um, right. So So I contacted Mensa today, and they said because she's a school psychologist and a licensed counselor, she does not qualify as a qualified professional. Now, what when I saw that email, I just kind of laughed. Like, you can't be serious, right? I mean, she's a nationally certified school psychologist. Um, but what I also missed is that she is a private psychotherapist. And in the FAQ, the frequently asked questions, I don't know why I called it that. In the frequently asked questions, it says in Mensa, it says a psychotherapist qualifies as a professional. So I contacted Mensa and told them that she is a private psychotherapist and she will provide a state number, because she's she's a state certified psychotherapist. And I'm hoping that'll square away, and I'll be into Mensa. I think the hard part is over. I think it's just a waiting game. I scored 130 on a nonverbal assessment. In fact, I would say it's even higher than 132 because I got 132. Because basically, see, I love psychometrics, and I'm probably looking at pursuing a career in psychometrics. And the Tony 4 only went to 136, and that's a 60 out of 60, and I got a 59 out of 60, right? And I've solved harder questions before. So, I'm not very confident that my IQ is 132 when it comes to fluid reasoning. It's probably higher than that. Could be up to 140. Could be 135. But all you need to know is that it's definitely above 130. So yeah, I got into Mensa maybe. So yeah, that's what's been going on. Thank you guys for listening. Goodbye.